saying that it was your employer, Robert Maxwell, owner of the Daily Mirror. You say that he was an Israeli agent, and as was his daughter.
He was not my employer. I would like to correct that.
Okay.
We worked together with him.
And you say that his daughter Ghislaine also, though, worked for Israel, and it was Robert Maxwell who introduced Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell way before the 1990s, as mainstream media is reporting.
Correct.
I suppose what the most alarming allegations that you've been making are that the entire Epstein operation was a honey trap operation to entrap politicians, policymakers, celebrities, people in the media eye, basically to become Israel's assets.
Correct. That it became basically an intelligence operation to entrap different politicians.
All right, that was an interview with Ari Ben Menashe, a former Israeli spy. Here's his Wikipedia page where it says he was previously an employee of Israel's Military Intelligence Directorate. So it's common knowledge that Epstein worked for Robert Maxwell, the media tycoon. Here on Maxwell's Wikipedia page, it talks about how he had known links to Israeli intelligence. In fact, according to the testimony of Ari Ben Menashe, it was more than just links. And he was talking about in his interview the reason why Maxwell died under those mysterious circumstances on his yacht in 1991 is because he was under investigation by the British government for a bunch of pension fraud he was doing, and he was about to be arrested. And Israel was really concerned that Maxwell was going to tell the British government a bunch of their secrets, so they had him whacked. That's just what he said. I'm just a guy on the internet. I don't claim to have any insider info. There's also a couple books that did a deep dive into Jeffrey Epstein, one by Dylan Howard, another by Whitney Webb. Both of them concluded pretty much beyond a shadow of a doubt, yeah, Epstein worked for Mossad. I'm also seeing some people on Twitter, they're talking about how Jeffrey Epstein worked for Mossad as an asset and personally vetted all Victoria's Secret models, and one of these Victoria's Secret models, Alex Consani, has talked about ever since her and her top model friends talked about Palestine, they haven't booked a job. Even the Times of Israel is talking about the very real likelihood that Epstein did have a Mossad link, they're saying. And, some people will be like, oh, wow, that's very interesting. But really take a minute to understand the deep ramifications of this. The fact that some of our politicians went to this island of his, so possibly some of our politicians are compromised. Some is a vague number, but I don't know the number. You don't know the number. But there shouldn't be any members of our Congress that are compromised by a foreign government. Like this is a big deal, and it represents a sort of wider overall issue that's occurring in our country that we're still not allowed to talk about. Like, take this video, for example. I'm just pointing out very clear things that are just on the internet. I'm not extrapolating at all. I'm just showing you information that I can see with my own eyes from verified news sources. Yet, I don't know if this video is going to be allowed on YouTube, which is crazy. Because, I live in America. We have free speech. YouTube is a Silicon Valley American company. This should be protected. I'm not saying anything crazy, but this video, not guarantee, but there's a good likelihood that if it gets past 1,000 views, they'll just can it, because that's what they've been doing to me. Every time I make a video that hits the 1,000 view mark, they get rid of it. It disappears. And I really feel like I'm very even-handed in all my investigations. Like, I'm not saying things that are too far out there. I'm just showing you stuff we can all see with our own eyes. So this should make the average person think, is all I'm saying. Why is it that I can say whatever I want about China, about Ireland, you name it, but the second I bring up this country right here, even in the most cut and dry journalistic ways possible, like I'm showing you in this video here. Again, I just got this interview from RT, whatever. RT might be the Russia news syndicate, but this guy is someone I can look up on Wikipedia. Ari Ben Menashe, he's a well-known person, and this is simply his testimony. This is simply Robert Maxwell's Wikipedia page. This is all I'm doing. This is the Daily Mail. This is the Times of Israel. I'm just pointing out things that are out in the open. They're just matter of fact. And, if for those who know me, you know that I've looked into the Jeffrey Epstein story for a long time, since 2017. And I will put this very bluntly. Epstein worked for Israeli intelligence in order to compromise the politicians of our country for the benefit of this foreign country. In my opinion, I don't know. Do not ban me. And it took me years. I'm embarrassed to say it took me years to get to this point because I didn't want to look at it like this. I never did. And I'm not saying that I didn't know that Epstein had ties to Mossad in the very beginning when I was a researcher. Of course, I knew this. I just didn't understand the gravity of that. I didn't understand the implications of it. But he did the whole HoneyPot operation on Epstein's island for the benefit of Israel, in my opinion. This is all just in my opinion. Of course, I can't know that for sure. It just seems like that from the information I've gathered, because no other explanation really makes sense. You can't engage in this super dangerous game of honeypot and blackmailing the most powerful people in America without having some powerful apparatus to back you up. Like Epstein as a man, as a sole entity, would just get whacked immediately if he tried to blackmail some powerful politician or celebrity. He wouldn't have lasted as long as he did. He had to have had some powerful backup. In the interview with this former Israeli spy, he talked about how Maxwell was actually the handler for Jeffrey Epstein. She was continuing her father's legacy, Robert Maxwell's, by being a Mossad asset and working with Epstein to get dirt on powerful people in America. And Prince Andrew, according to the interview, and I'll leave a link in the description for this interview, Prince Andrew was like a useful idiot for them. He was used as a link to all these famous people that Epstein could then blackmail. So yeah, there's actually a long history of monarchies being duped and used by bankers and the other way around. There's a big rivalry between monarchy and bankers, and I need to do a video on that. But yeah, the current British monarchy are a sad reflection of what monarchy is supposed to look like. But anyway, I'm sure some people, they're going to listen to this and say, well, every single country tries to spy on America. What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is so many of our congressmen, they have dual citizenship to this country. They talk about how this country is our greatest ally. So why all the espionage? You know, we watched the first GOP debates, and one of the people on stage had an Israel lapel pin instead of an American flag. And that's just seen as normal in the GOP. But I'll save that for another video. Thanks for tuning in.